Yo, what's good, YouTube? This is Jay from TNJ. And I just want to look back and look at some of the teams that we made trades with and look at how they're utilizing players. So the interesting thing is, let's look at the Pittsburgh Pirates first. What's funny is, like, if you look at this lineup, they trade away their first baseman Josh Bell to us, but look who they have at first base. Kevin Newman, a shortstop. I mean, his secondary position doesn't even include first base, so they're using him at first base. And then versus lefties, they're using Jordan Luplow, who's actually a left fielder, doesn't even have first base as a secondary position either. So it's like interesting how the computer does this. I mean, they didn't have a first base and they traded him away. That's fair and all, but you would think they would use somebody possibly with a first base as their secondary position, but they're not even doing that here. But here's the thing that I fear is that if I do trade a first baseman to them, they're not going to use him at first base. I mean, I can't trade Valencia. I can trade them Lundgren, but there's no guarantee that they'll use Lundgren at first base. And that's the one thing that I don't want to do, is trade them somebody they're just not going to use, and then it'll just be a waste just because I made that trade earlier. I took away the first baseman, and look what they're doing at first base. But you know what is kind of cool? They're using Yu-Chang Chang. Yu-Chang Chang actually hits at the major league level right now. They moved him up to the major league level. They thought he was ready, and he's not doing bad. 263 through his first 20 at bats. I mean, not too bad. He only hits versus left-handers. They do not have him versus right-handers. Let's look who they have. They have Max Moroff versus right-handers, and he's not doing that well. I mean, I don't know what's keeping him in the lineup over Yu-Chang Chang, but it's good to see him up there. And I'm pretty sure if they had him, well, maybe his contract's definitely bringing him down, and the performance of the team is bringing them down. But it's kind of funny to see Yu-Chang Chang, he got moved up. So you know what's interesting is that now we're at a point in the season. We finished that Cubs series. We actually went through a series with the Phillies. We'll look at that next. But just take a look at the standings here. So it's funny because when we start losing, the Mets and Nationals start losing. When we start winning, the Mets and Nationals start winning. It's just a weird trend. So the Mets are actually on a 4-game losing streak. Nationals are on a 5-game losing streak. So look at our last 10, 5-5. You would think we would want to pull away there, but we haven't done so. We're up 2 games, but we just haven't done that. So you know what I'm going to do? Let's advance a little bit. So this is how the series with the Phillies went. Lost 2 out of 3. We actually had a situation where we faced Jordan Hicks again, and he shut us down. He shut us down for the save. So I actually want to advance past the NL Central here because we're going up against St. Louis and Pittsburgh. Let's actually just sim to see how we do in simming, because remember, I don't want to make this a true user experience when I'm just saying like just my user skill dominates here. But I want to make it so that there's some simulation type stats and more of a sim feel and a user feel. I kind of want the mix of both. So Josh Bell is here for an 11-game hitting streak. I want to enter this game and see how he does. So let's just do that real quick.
Bats here with an 11-game hitting streak on the line. No hits yet, so a bit of pressure. First pitch of the at-bat on its way. Nope. And a neck-high fat. Missed with a breaking ball.
He's going to have to locate something down in the zone to get himself back in this count.
Set, and the 2-1 pitch. And you wonder about the
back to bite you.
Now a fastball swung on.
Hands.
And he lays off here. A nice job. It's ball 4. First and second now with 1 away.
Well,
so it sucks that we didn't get to extend that hit streak, but let's keep advancing here. Let's move on past the Pittsburgh series. So it looks like Johnny Giavatello is going to be back from the DL in about 1 to 2 weeks. Let's actually, you know what? I want to activate him right now because I do have some guys on my bench that I'm probably not using too much. So if he's going to be back in 1 to 2 weeks, I'm going to activate him because I do need that help, and I miss Johnny Giavatello kind of a lot. So let's look how many days exactly. So it looks like he still has 1 to 2 weeks left with his injury. So let's make a move here. Oh, so I don't think I had 24 guys on the roster I didn't even realize for a couple games. So let's keep advancing. and see if we end up winning these games versus NL Central here. So here's another critical situation. Let's actually sim to the end of this one, see if Jose Torres gets out of it. It looks like he did, so it looks like we win that one. So let's not stop simulating. Let's keep moving on. Another critical situation. So now he's in another jam. Let's see if he can get out of this one, and he does not. It looks like they went on to win that game. So let's keep moving on here. Another critical situation. I actually like this one. So it looks like we have Leury Garcia on second. Let's see if we can tie this one up, maybe even take the lead.
Ready to deliver. Here's the first pitch. Lifted in the air out to center field. Mora is there. He's got it, and there are 2 down now. Miami down to their last strike. And that's a swinging strike 3 in the dirt. Throw to first will be in time for the final out, and the Pirates have taken the opener here at home as this.
So we do go on to lose that game, so let's keep moving. Now Braxton Garrett actually got hurt. Let's actually, he's gonna be out for a few days, so keep him active. He's in the minor leagues anyway. So it looks like Boer has 2 home runs. Let's just sim past that one. So we go on to win that one 8-1. Then we go on to beat them again, and then Ashton Cohen gets hurt 1 to 2 months. And what's funny about that is that I was actually thinking about moving him up, especially with the September call-ups. I was thinking about, giving him seeing how he can pitch at the major league level. But it looks like he's probably done for the year. So let's see how we're at now in the standings. 67 and 55. Let's see where we're at in the standings. So we still have that 2-game lead on the Nationals and Mets. Mets have kind of dropped off a little bit. Now the Nationals move up into that second place behind us. Let's look at how we look in the wild card. So the Nationals and the Brewers are tied for that last wild card spot. So let's just see how some of our minor leaguers are doing, because one guy I did want to note a little bit is that Taylor Ward actually plays third base in real life. He plays third base in real life. I think they moved his position during the season or before the season started. So he's listed as a catcher in this game, but he's actually a third baseman. So I don't know if I'm going to move him his primary position to third base and then move his secondary position to catcher, or just keep it at catcher and then move his secondary position to third base. But let's look at our guys. Josh Bell's hitting over 300 now. Justin Bour's hitting 275. Jahmai Jones is actually on a hot streak a little bit. He's at 73 overall right now. So he's actually doing pretty good right now. So I'm glad that, to see him doing well. And I want to see Hassan Diaz. What is Hassan Diaz doing? 260. So Lucas Eli's kind of dropped off a little bit. I mean, 294 is still pretty good. He's looking like he's still in the running for at least the minor leaguer of the year on an offense. But I think Taylor Ward is definitely going to take that. Let's look who else. So we actually moved Leury Garcia out of the starting lineup. He was there before, but now I decided to put Adrian Beltre and Jung Ho Kang in the lineup together, so I'm glad to see them together. Elvis Aguila looks like he's hitting 250. Let's look at Monty Harrison. He's hitting 250. He's cooled off. Domingo Santana's up to 289 now, so that's a good sign. Max Kepler's hitting 318 at AAA, so maybe he'll get his shot back up at the majors. He's going to be there for the September call-ups, obviously, but playoff roster, I guess we'll have to see. I don't know what it's going to shape up to look like. Because I'm definitely going to need some speed, especially if I do make the playoffs. That's if I make the playoffs. I'm going to need some speed up there. So I was really debating about moving up Taylor Ward and using him at third base, and kind of using, since we didn't have like a consistent infield with second base and third base, but I kind of like what Adrian Beltre is doing at third base right now. He's hitting 257, but then moving Jung Ho Kang over to second base, he's hitting 295, so he's actually hitting really, really good at second base. So I kind of like that right now. I was thinking about only simming past for the NL Central, but let's actually sim past this Atlanta series. I don't want to really play Atlanta, but I do want to play this Mets series. So let's sim past this. So we have DeSclafani on the mound, Tehran, we're going up against Tehran, and then that's Jose Arena, and then that's Despaigne. So let's look and see how our pitchers are doing really quick. So let's look at our player stats as far as pitchers go. So Michael Fulmer, 11-5. He is killing it so far this year. 137 to 37 walks, 2.03 ERA, 1.03 WHIP. I mean, just exactly what you want out of an ace. And Jarlin Garcia, I mean, this guy is just gonna be good. He's gonna keep going up. He's gonna keep getting better and better. His attributes aren't even like great. I mean, he's got 66 hits per 9, 77 home runs per 9, but you know, it's just that he's just performing way above what I thought he would eventually be. I mean, he's just killing it right now. Looking at the rest of our starting rotation, DeSclafani actually isn't pitching bad. I just think he's not getting the run support maybe when he pitches, because he's got a 1.22 WHIP with a 3.96 ERA. That isn't bad at all. Jose Urena as well. I mean, maybe they're just not getting the run support when they pitch, but Despaigne does have a higher WHIP, 1.43, 4.13 ERA, and he's in the last spot in our rotation. So meanwhile, let's check on Braxton Garrett. Let's see what he's doing at the AAA level right now. And he actually is doing pretty well. 120 strikeouts to 41, 121 WHIP, 3.10 ERA. I mean, that's pretty good. And now he's up to a 75 overall. So he's up to a 75 overall, and I like the progression that he's making. I just don't know if I want to risk having him kind of decline. So looking at Sandy Alcantara, so look at his record. It's 4-13, but the good part is he's at 70 overall now, meaning that maybe he can get a shot next year. He can definitely help us out with the September call-ups once we get there. I like that he's now at 70 overall. So now that maybe a couple weeks have passed since the trade deadline, he's definitely went up a little bit. And look at Dylan Peters. He's 3-14. I mean, how are their records that bad? I mean, our AAA and AA teams must be bad at producing runs. Let's just see what their record is, because that's really bad. 30-23 isn't bad. And then we're 53-70. So it looks like that's what's killing us there at AAA. But let's just sim past this Atlanta series. Let's hope that nobody gets hurt during this sim. So look at this, 10-2 in the first game. Let's sim to the end of that one. That's a good one. Nice win. So now Johnny Giavotella is now healthy. So what I'm actually thinking about doing here, I think I might jump into this critical situation. So let's jump into this and then come back.
Good evening to those of you just joining us on the show. You've chosen to tune in at a 9. Here's the first pitch to him. Oh, it's on the ground to second. Did he get his double play? There's one. Back to Freeman, not in time. Ready with the 1-0 pitch. Line drive to left. And that's in there. Base hit. So striding in, Justin Bour, as he'll look to bring home that tying run from second with a base hit into the outfield. First pitch of the at-bat on its way. Now a drive to right field. This could do it. Game over. Walk-off home run. So it's a 3-run shot to straightaway right field.
Well, they say better late than never, and that's...
So what a walk-off by Justin Bour. I mean, that pitch was served right down the middle. What was that pitcher doing? So now we move on to this last game in this series. We've actually been scoring quite a bit of runs ever since we got Josh Bell. You see our offensive production if you look at all the games this month. I mean, we've been scoring runs. So let's sim through this next game. And another critical situation. Let's just actually sim to the end of this one, because I mean, Domingo Santana does have a hit streak, but I want to see if we can win this without me playing. And no, we lose the final game in that series. So now we move on to this next series versus the Mets. And let's look at our record here. We are 69-56 against 65-59 for the Mets. So let's look at some, see if there's any moves made by any other teams. Not any huge ones. Yeah, it doesn't look like any huge ones have been made. So let's look now. Look at this home runs. Wait, first, let's just look at this home run. The home run leaders, if you look at this, we have Justin Bour at the top in the NL. Look at the AL, though. Giancarlo Stanton just absolutely raking this year. 41 home runs. But look at Justin Bour's at the top. Manny Machado's tied. And then down here, Domingo Santana. And then Josh Bell. I mean, we have a bunch of power hitters in this lineup, and I'm surprised because we have so many power hitters, but our average is just so low. And if you look at our averages here, 279 for Boer, 280 for Manny Machado, 288 for Domingo Santana, 305 for Josh Bell. So we have to be up here. I mean, we have to be. Let's just look at team rankings as far as batting average now, because remember we said we want to get to that 15-16 range, and we're still at 20, hitting 248. We're tied for 19th, it looks like. So yeah, Josh Bell is leading us in average, 305, but it's kind of surprising. I mean, I'm just surprised that with like as good a team we have, we're not hitting as well. So let's just look at, like I said, I was thinking about moving up Taylor Ward, but let's just look at our standings really quick. So it's still 2.5 game lead over the Nationals. Let's look at other divisions here. So the Central, the Cubs are winning the Central by 4.5 games, are leading there. Dodgers ahead of the Rockies, 2.5. In the AL East, the Yankees are dominating by 10 games. The Indians are dominating the AL Central, and the Athletics are not dominating. They're leading. The Astros still have time. They can come back. They're on a win streak, but it looks like all three of the top three teams are leading there, are on a win streak. So I do want to look around the league leaders, though, just around the NL here and the AL. Lorenzo Cain leading the NL in hits, and Christian Yelich actually. So two Brewers right there leading the NL in hits there. So if we keep going down the line, I'm not going to stop at every single one, but I do want to give you guys a feel for, you know, how our team stacks up against other top players. Manny Machado's leading the NL in RBIs, at least tied. Looking at runs, though. Runs is interesting because you would think that we would have maybe one of our top guys in the lineup up here in runs, but we don't. And it's surprising because Manny Machado is leading the league in RBIs, and we don't have one of our top two hitters, and we don't have a consistent two hitter. Let's get that straight. Josh Bell has only been on our team for so long, so he's not gonna be up there. But Lewis Brinson, I'm surprised. You know, he doesn't have a terribly high on base percentage, but he's in jeopardy of maybe losing that come next year, because that leadoff position is important, especially since we can get somebody on and steal a base. Look out for Jahmai Jones. I mean, Jahmai Jones might be that guy. Hopefully he can come around, because remember, we did try that experiment a little bit. Didn't really work out, but maybe he just needs some more work. But, you know, just looking at where our team stacks up, I mean, we're towards the top in like pretty much every category. I'm going to keep going through these. Michael Fulmer is actually leading the NL in shutouts, actually tied for leading the majors. So I mean, strikeouts, we're not really a strikeout team. Complete games, Michael Fulmer has 4. Innings pitched, he's up there as well. I mean, he's just dominating so far this year. And look at it, walks allowed. We don't walk a lot of guys with our starting pitchers. DeSclafani's up there, he's 8-7 now. Michael Fulmer's 11-5. Looking at whip, I mean, we have Michael Fulmer up there. Let's just see who's the next guy here. So we have Harleen Garcia, who's 17. I mean, this isn't bad. I mean, we're not a bad pitching team at all. We're doing so good. Pitching WAR, Michael Fulmer 3.7, which is pretty high, and then Harleen Garcia 3.2. So let's look at Quintana's actually, man, 11-3, and he's got what's his whip? 1.02, 2.04 ERA. He's doing amazing. Kershaw is doing Kershaw things. 10-6, 2.6 ERA, 0.87 whip. I mean, that's just ridiculous. Now let's look at batting WAR. Is there any batting WAR guys up here that we have that are high? And it looks like Manny Machado is up there. I'm surprised that, okay, there's Josh Bell. That's what I was about to say. I'm surprised that Josh Bell isn't up there with how his OPS is pretty high. It's at 906. His OPS is 906. That's pretty good. And let's just keep going down. So batting average, DJ LeMahieu. I mean, he might be just one of those guys that just like kills. Like every single year, he hits for over 300. Look at that. In 2016, 348, 310, 318 last year, 352 this year. I mean, he's going for the batting title for sure. Charlie Blackmon doing his thing as well. He's still with the Rockies. I thought, okay, so he's signed a new contract. He must have. So yeah, it's kind of funny, man, to see, like, you know, with how many home runs and how many RBIs our team produces, we're not up there in average. So I think I'm going to save the Mets series. I'm going to focus the next two. We go to the Mets, Nationals, and then the Mets again. So I think the next episode I'm going to focus on this Mets series and this Washington series, and then I might include one game from this last game of three, this 3-game series towards the end of the month, because going into September, we're gonna need to put some work in. I mean, for real, because this series right here going into September, this New York Mets series is gonna be crucial. This Washington series is gonna be crucial. So we do have a little bit of an easier 3 series in a row towards the end of August, beginning of September. Cincinnati, Pittsburgh, and St. Louis. St. Louis is good. They're no scrub, but it's gonna be tough, man. We gotta hold on to this first place position, because I don't want to go into a wild card game. To be honest, I don't want to, because I know I have Fulmer. I can depend on him for a 1-game playoff, but I mean, do I really want to take that risk if I don't have to? No. So I want to go run away with this division. We do have Fulmer going up against Selman here, so it's going to be a pretty good matchup for us. And then we have DeGrom going up against Garcia. I'm not mad at that one. And then DeSclafani going up against Syndergaard. I mean, we don't have bad matchups here. I mean, our pitching matchups are pretty much good. I mean, I like the matchups coming up in these next 2 series. So hit subscribe, hit that like button, man, because we're heating up. The playoff race is heating up. Let me know if you guys think, maybe it's probably too late to move up these guys now, because we're getting close to the September call-ups. But should I pitch Braxton Garrett heavy during the September call-ups? Maybe not heavy, but should I, pitch him a pretty good amount of innings? Should I give him a couple starts? I don't want to, make that inning count go up, because then he loses that rookie eligibility. But let me know what you guys think, because he's at 75 overall. Sandy Alcantara's at 70 overall. Maybe I'll give him a start. He's at 141 whip, which kind of worries me. I don't want to ruin a start with him, because I don't want to ruin his confidence, and I do want to get the win. So I want to make sure I do win these games. I think Braxton Garrett can get us a couple wins as another lefty in the lineup, in the rotation. So I don't know. Let me know. I mean, hit subscribe, hit that like button, because Taylor Ward is definitely going to get some at-bats. Like I said, I don't want to use all their rookie eligibility. I don't want to go over that at-bat threshold, so I'm going to be careful, especially with him. I can definitely do that with Jahmai Jones, though. Jahmai Jones actually might be playoff eligible, so I actually am going to starting to think about moving him up, because like I said, he's going to be playoff eligible, because he's got enough at bats. He's going to have enough at bats to make the playoff roster. So I do want to use that and his speed, because I'm going to need it. I'm going to need it, especially towards the end of this year. I'm going to need to manufacture runs. John Giavotella is off the DL now, so I can use him in this next series. So we'll see how the lineup shakes up. So stay tuned for that. Let's get it. Let's go.